historical evidence. All men and women created by it. So you know the thing.
Walked in this place and said, wow, this is a huge dome. Bozeman's got it all right.
Stage 2.
Go.
Flight directors, go for launch. We have liftoff.
Vehicles pitching downrange. Max Q. Vehicles supersonic. Stage separation.
You guys know what this represents? Maybe it's the calm before the storm.
What's the storming?
Could be the calm before the storm. Thank you all for coming. Thank you.
What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
Give us a hint on your answers.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to episode number 79 of Just Our Take. Boy, we've got a full show tonight, and we've got another guest again, a welcome back guest. But first, I'm John. I'm your host of Just Our Take. This is my co-host, Dave, and my other co-host, Elle. So, David, how you doing tonight?
Doing great, John. Doing great. How are you?
Oh, boy.
All right, let me give a disclaimer. Hold on. Here's our disclaimer. Views expressed on the show are our own. You may agree, especially after we talk about some of the things that are happening right now today. You may disagree, and that's okay with us too. Just feel free to light it up in the comments. And if we miss something, feel free to throw it in the comments. Help keep us educated. We appreciate you, audience. At the end of the day, though, it is our take. It's just our opinion. Fact check us. And Elle, introduce yourself. You want to say hello again?
Yeah, thank you, David and John, for having me again. Look forward to it. Had a fantastic time last time, and a happy new year to everybody joining us in tonight. Can't wait to get started.
Let's do it.
Okay,
John.
So, tonight I'm telling you, we're we got a lot going on. Before we jump into it, because I will forget this stuff with as much as we have going on. Real quick, hang in there. We've got some really exciting stuff. Our sponsor tonight is Steel Rebel Design. Steel Rebel Design makes all of our hats, shirts, cups, hoodies, all the merch, all the swag for the Just Our Take show. Kim is in the audience right there. Kim Hardy 37. That's Kim. She is absolutely the best. And so she's going to, she actually just hooked us up with a brand new way to buy our merch. So thank you for doing that. But check this out. This is our snow camo MAGA hat. So you saw the black MAGA hat that David's wearing right now, but this is the snow camo MAGA hat. And you can buy that. If you go down below, there's a link. It goes, I think it's called MAGA hats. You click on that link. You do have to use the code JustOurTake at checkout, and that will give you 10% discount, but it also allows you to buy it. We're not letting anybody else buy these hats, just members of the Just Our Take show. So go down below and make sure you take good care of Kim and company at Steel Rebel Design. Kim, thank you so much for sponsoring the Just Our Take show, and we really appreciate everything you do.
Dark MAGA. Thank you, Kim. Looks great.
I'm loving the dark MAGA. It's really a good. She worked really hard on that, but I'm really digging that snow camo. I think that's something unique. Hadn't seen it before, so good stuff. As you can imagine, we're going to be talking tonight a lot about the fires down in California. I think each one of us, myself, David, and Elle, all three of us have some family history or friends down in that area, and it's kind of near and dear to our hearts. Boy,
yeah.
I
mean,
I don't know.
It's
I'm choked up.
Look, I grew up there. It's home. We still have family there. I have a daughter that lives in the valley, not in the zone of the fire, at least not the current fires. We have in-laws out in the Simi area, like just throughout Los Angeles. I have friends all over the Southland. And this is home. You look at where these fires are and some of the video footage that I've seen. I'm like, I know that place, and it's surreal. It just is absolutely surreal. And Elle, you have a lot of connection to the Southland.
I do. I actually, not only being stationed in Camp Pendleton, but I do have family there who are fortunately are southeast of where the fires are right now, but they are in an area where, just west of Corona in the Anaheim Hills area. They get the same type of winds every January. This is nothing new. So if you are not aware of Southern California, there's these things called the Santa Ana winds, and they come in every January, every February, and they blow pretty hard. I think today or yesterday they were clocking some in Lancaster up to 100 miles an hour. That's not the norm. Usually they're about...
I was going to say
they're
that's not usual.
No, 15 to 20 miles. You feel them. In January, you do feel them. Absolutely. So anything above that is obviously going to cost a lot of headaches for that area. And look, I do have family and friends.
In Southern California, if you're in the area where you get the Santa Ana winds, and actually they're truly called Santana winds because that's the devil wind that comes off the desert, but there's also Santa Ana in California, so everybody's calling it Santa Ana. Either way, if you say Santa Ana winds, they know what you're talking about. But in generally in these areas, you write your address on your trash cans because your trash cans usually pool up into one corner down the street. It may be 10 houses down or 30 houses down, but everyone puts their address on there. So I'm going to go through this really quick, and then we can come back and comment on them. The first fire that broke out was the Palisades fire. That's about center of the screen. Palisades fire, 15,832 acres. That was actually caused by a rebirth of a fire that started on New Year's Eve. People were playing with fireworks, totally illegal in California. People were playing with fireworks. It started a 1 acre fire. That 1 acre fire was put out, so they thought. And then when these winds came up, it just stoked this fire, and it just absolutely blew up. They're not sure about I've not heard any causes of the rest of these fires, but the Palisades fire was a restart of a previous fire. It was not arson as far as somebody going out there and playing it or starting it. The most recent fire and by the way, this map came up I want to say 10 minutes before we went on air. So it's the most recent map. There are 56 active burns in the Southern California area. The largest, obviously, being the Palisades fire, which just blew up overnight. They had 80-mile-an-hour gusts. Just bad. I personally have family there, as well as some friends. We're not sure about the status of my brother and sister-in-law's house at this point. We're praying, but if you look at the videos of Palisades, it doesn't look good. The most recent fire is the Sunset Fire that was in actually West Hollywood. That one just came up probably about an hour before we came on tonight.
And of course, there's a number of reports that they're pointing it back to, some of the homeless out there who'll start fires to stay warm. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we're going to know, but you see some of the pictures of just like these trees that are on fire and the wind's blowing through and the embers are just flying, through the air.
So David, if I may add just a quick comment. Yes, the Southern California area has exploded over the last 20 years with people. Having been there since the late 70s, these fires happen every year. So some of them are initiated by careless people. Some of them are just the wind will knock down a power line.
Sure.
Something that what do you call it? Painless that will start a fire, and it's unfortunate. It just is. It's to see all of this devastation, and to me, that's the sad part, right? Is that we have a place that is not very well managed, and we'll get to some of that stuff. That it's adding, no pun intended, fuel to the fire, right? Yep. There's 17 million was taken out of the budget. The LA Fire Department lost 17 million 6 months ago. So there's a lot of things that initiate the flame, but there's also a lot of other areas that add to the devastation because they're not as prepared as they should be.
The big difference here is these are not forest fires. These are more likely, they call them brush fires, although this isn't a whole lot of brush, but there's a couple of unique plants in the Southern California area that fuel the fire and fuel the spread of the fire. One is the palms. When those things go up, it's like a sparkler. It just sends off all of these embers, and those embers can fly a mile. The other one is the eucalyptus. The eucalyptus tree, they generally will sit there and just superheat. And there's eucalyptus oil in those trees. They get to a certain temperature, and then they literally explode. And when they explode, it just spreads this inferno like you can't believe. Very dangerous for firefighters to be in the area of the eucalyptus when they blow up like that.
I was going to say, Elle, I agree, having grown up in SoCal and having still a lot of connections to the area. You're right. There's fire season. It seems like almost every year or every other year, there's fires that creep down towards houses. In my entire life, I have never seen anything remotely close to this. Nothing even similar. And we've experienced a Santana. I'm going to try to say it Santana. It sounds like I'm trying to have a Texan accent. The Santa Ana winds, and we've seen the fires in the hills, but never, not ever, 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 ever have we seen this kind of fire destruction in the SoCal basin. It just hasn't happened. This is incredible.
I'm going to show this, but one of the things that's unique about the area that started, where the fire started, was in Pacific Palisades. Those houses, I doubt that there is a house below 1.5 million in that area, but these are not necessarily mansions. People in other parts of the country, when you hear about a $1.5 million home, it's a pretty big, luxury style home. Some of these, it's just location. They're so close to the beach and so close to the Los Angeles proper that they're just very desirable home areas. So they go anywhere from 1.5 in that area all the way up to $50 million in that area.
I doubt that little picture you're showing there with all those homes, which, by the way, we've driven by there probably 100 times or more, and right, maybe more than that. You could not touch one of those.
So I was talking about Palisades. I'm going to come back to this one. Sorry, David, I didn't make that clear. Good point. So Pacific Palisades, that's where the fire started, and it went through there, and it probably, there are some people that say there's over 1,000 homes gone at this point. I would be literally at this point. It looks more and more like it's going to be a Lahaina kind of thing, where you'd be surprised if there are any left standing. Now, this video that I'm about to show you is all the way down on the coast. Literally, you can see the beach on the coast there. This is Malibu waterfront, and those people that live there, they'll call this feet wet, because they generally have pylons and posts that go down into the sand and into the water at high tide. So those houses, you're right. I would be shocked if any of those are below $4 or $5 million. Cher has a place on the feet wet. Barbara Streisand had a place feet wet. Don't know if she still does. There's a lot of very, very wealthy people that have homes feet wet. Elon Musk posted this earlier today. Oh, I got to go over here to do that. Sorry.
I did look just because I wanted to see. There's 7 houses for sale under $4 million. One of them's a condo, 2-bedroom, 1 bath.
Just to be clear, what you're looking at here, you're facing the water. So these are houses all along the waterfront there, and they're no longer there. It's for those people that lived in or around the Los Angeles area, Santa Monica, Malibu, all that, to see all of these gone is just mind-numbing. Would you guys agree?
If you're a fan of 2.5 Men, of Beach Blanket Bingo, I'm dating myself now, any of those Southern California type TV shows and movies, I'm thinking of Heat, where they have that glass house where De Niro's in. That's what this is, and it's all gone. It's pretty sad. I mean, these are not just beautiful homes in a beautiful area, but they're iconic, and to see them completely gone, it's pretty sad. Not gonna lie, it's sad to see. California government is another story, but the area is just beautiful. It has a lot of good spots. Neptune's Net. I don't know, John and David, if you've ever gone there. My family, we used to drive up to Neptune Net, and in my late 30s, I had a motorcycle, and we actually went through PCH up to Neptune's Net. For the audience, this was this beautiful little shack that serves seafood. And you literally park your motorcycle if you rode up in a bike, and it was right across from the beach. You went in, they had these giant tubs, and you pick your crab or your lobster or your shrimp, and they weighed it on the fly, and they threw it right into the cooking pan or whatever you wanted. It was amazing seafood right up from the coast. So places like that are iconic. I hope they survive, because they're right at the path of these fires.
There was several other buildings like the Real Inn. I don't know if you've ever stayed or visited the Real Inn, another seafood market. It was a market / restaurant right on PCH. That apparently is gone. That thing's been around forever, and it's gone. A couple other iconic locations. One was Gladstone's for Fish right there on the ocean. I have eaten there a billion times. Billion's an exaggeration. I hope you guys. That's
a real number.
But I have eaten there many times, and it survived, which is just surprising. It's still there. There was a fire in one of the outbuildings there, one of the storage sheds. Storage shed is a complete loss, but they were able to save Gladstone's. Nobu, a very, very high-end sushi place on right on PCH. That one was saved as well. So I do know that those two are there. Pepperdine University was in the midst again of a fire, and they were able to save and survive again. But they've done a great job. To Elia's point, he talked about it a little bit earlier about, fire management. They have a lot of green space around it. They have a lot of ice plant around it. If you ever see an ice plant, it's all water. And they have the large trees all cut away, and it's not a fire danger. So again, Pepperdine did a great job, and they're seeing the rewards of that.
Yeah, smart. Well, there's a lot to unpack around these fires. There's, John and Elle, I think you probably have done a lot more research during the day. I've been trying to read headlines between meetings at work, and the one that I found that I thought was really, this one's a little far out there, but I'll show it to you anyways. Hold on. I'll just kick things off with this.
Oh, please.
Wait, hold on. There it is. There it is.
Hey, you know what? So the problem is that's spreading all over the place, and it's bogus. It's just bogus.
I'm sure of it.
It frustrates me when there's real stuff going on, and people want to say, "Oh, it was drones. It's the Chinese drones." No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
Okay, and then there's other people saying these were directed energy weapons. Stop it. I do know that we've used directed energy weapons before. They do a lot of devastation, but doggone it, stop it. All right, Elle, this one was yours. You brought this one to me. I'd like you to kind of talk to this.
Yes. So for our audience, this is a lot of the problem that we have with lack of preparedness. Not on the citizens, not on the residents who own the land or their home. When we pay our taxes, especially in Southern California, they're outrageously expensive. We have an expectation of our government and the bureaucracy to help us take care of the land around us. And this is a great example of LA government really not taking care of what they needed to. This is a summary. They actually cut the fire department budget. I believe it was 17 million was one of them. They rerouted a lot of the fire preparedness budgets to DEI programs, which to me, I wanted to throw up when I read this, because this is how we lose lives in our society. I have family. My father-in-law is a retired fireman. I have friends who are firemen. And to know that the government, the local government there, have done such a horrible job, not only in preparing for such fires, but also they're overwhelmed because they have not trained for these types of situations. It's kind of like they're sticking their hand in their pockets. And for me, it's sad to see, right? Is that we expect, I think I saw Patricia Heaton, if anybody was a fan of Everybody Loves Raymond, I follow her on X, and she had a little video about it. So I'm going to try to paraphrase what she said, because I agree with her. She said, we have an expectation of our government to just try to take care of us during some of these events that happen. And that's why we pay our taxes, right? We pay for fire, we pay for police. They have all of this money to hopefully have a plan of action, and they really didn't. LA Fire was caught with their pants down on this one, and to me, it's where we are in our society. It's really sad to see the loss of life because people thought it was better to go and try to have representation or feel good policies over real, well-known and documented and data-backed policies that save lives. And this is a good example. So, John, I'll turn it back over to you, but I just wanted to give the audience some of that thought of we should be more involved in our local elections. I know we just had a national election, but to me, this is where it matters. People who pay those taxes in LA should be going to city hall meetings. Our little town here where I live is 2,100 people. Guess what? I watched their weekly meetings of town. They post them online. And if I have a question, I'm going to go call somebody up. I've called up representatives in the past. I guess that's because I'm a Marine, and if I feel like I need to voice my opinion as a U.S. citizen, I will. But Angelinos should be very upset at their city fire
they just trust, blind trust.
Yeah. I'm pulling up a link right now. It's going to be just a second because I've got to take it from one computer to the other. But a friend of the show, Mike, he's been on the show before. Mike just sent me something. And by the way, you can always send things to justourtakeshow@gmail.com. We love it when you do that. It's always great. You become one of the producers too, and we appreciate it. But I'm going to show you something that will just. This comes from, and I'm going to butcher his name. No offense intended, but
There's a question. There was a question about what was the from Kim. Why the budget cut? And
I'll show
here's-
you. No. Hang on.
Okay. I'm
So
hanging on.
Dr. Pat Soon Xiong, who is the owner of the LA Times, says our hearts go out to those who have lost their homes and are seeking shelter. Fires in LA are sadly no surprise, yet the mayor of Los Angeles cut fire department's budget by $23 million, and reports of empty fire hydrants raise serious questions. Competence matters. And by the way, during the time that she was doing this, she was hanging out in Ghana. What on earth? What on earth? And by the way, where do you think that money went? So the money that they cut is used to help the illegals have a more comfortable life in Southern California when they arrive in that sanctuary city.
Also, billions of dollars in debt, a lot of mismanaged money to take care of the homeless situation over the last few years, and they're missing tens of billions of dollars. They have to make cuts. And where do you make cuts? Well, you cut the safety of the city, of course.
I want to answer a couple of questions, if you don't mind. I see, I'm going to butcher your name. Megala asked about empty fire hydrants, and so instead of feeding water to hot fire hydrants up the mountain, because that costs money to have, a fire a unit or a city employee to go and test the water, they have to do that by the bylaws of each city. They might have different bylaws, but they have to go and test and open that valve. And so they're like, oh, we don't need to test that fire hydrant. Matter of fact, you know what? Let's cut water to these fire hydrants, and let's not send somebody out there every 6 months to make sure that they do have fire. So this is where I want the audience to understand that to me, that's criminal. You want to take the money to prepare a welcome center for illegals, yet your taxpayers who pay a lot of money, especially in these multi-million-dollar homes, you cut water from the fire hydrants and testing of those fire hydrants because you thought that they have privilege. No, those are your citizens that are paying your salaries. Those are the people. That's the reason you have a budget. So just trying to give some color to that question.
Yeah, there's another piece of this too, and I didn't know this. This is Trump's comment. I'll read it, but in here there's another comment about why was there no water, and he addresses it. Governor Gavin Newsom. Oh, I think it's a spelling error. Nope, he spelled it right. Gavin Newsom refused to sign the water restoration declaration put before him that would have allowed millions of gallons of water from excess rain and snowmelt from the north to flow daily into many parts of California, including the area that are currently burning in the virtually apocalyptic way. He wanted to protect an essentially worthless fish called a smelt. It's not my opinion that it's a worthless fish. I'm just reading. Giving it, it's worthless. I know.
Yes, it is.
It is. He wanted to protect a worthless fish called a smelt by giving it less water. It didn't work, but didn't care about the people of California. Now the ultimate price is being paid. I will demand that this incompetent governor allow beautiful, clean, fresh water to flow into California. He's to blame for this. On top of it all, no water for fire hydrants, not firefighting planes, a true disaster. This is disgraceful. So there's a lot of documentation about this, but essentially with all the rainfall in the last couple of years, 200% of normal, 300% of normal, and they weren't able to capture it and have it available for the people in the Southland. Unbelievable.
In the summer, they opened the floods. Sorry, John. They did open the floods to some of the reservoirs because they didn't want to spend the money keeping track of that water. So they said, Let's get rid of the water, send it to the ocean. That way we don't have to worry about that water.
You're being too nice to them. It wasn't because they didn't want to spend the money. It's because they wanted to create a drought. It's all man-made. It's all created. But here from our fearless leader, because doggone it, we always need to hear from Donald
horrible
himself.
Forest fires in California. And I said, you got a lot of trees standing. Yes, they were healthy trees there. I said, with this intense heat, that you could see they were charred a little bit on the bottom, but they were going to be all right because they're soaking wet because they suck up the water, right? But when they fall, they're like, it's like lighting a match.
Yeah.
And you got to be able to clean. They call it maintain your forest. So I was with the head of Austria. He said, it's a shame. I see all those forest fires in California, and all they have to do is clean their forest, meaning rake it up, rid of the leaves, leaves that are in their fires.
Certainly rid of the dead fall.
And get rid of the trees that are falling that are like so many things this country. By the way,
could you really
rake
the whole
done.
Forest though? I don't think you could rake the whole forest.
Well, you could,
I think you can get rid of the deadfall, but raking all the leaves.
You could certainly get rid of the dead. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the real issue.
Environmentally, they don't want to do that. They said, it's got to be nature and all this stuff. But in the meantime, this is exactly right. But you could have it was the Department of Commerce that needed the approvals, but Gavin Newsom had to sign them. I got it all done. Nobody could believe it. It was all done. I said, I got it. You got so much water. All you have to do is sign. And that guy didn't want to sign.
Did he not want to sign because that would be a political victory for you?
I think, no, he didn't. No, I don't think so. He used to say he's a great president and we got along. We did. We actually got along at that point. But I think somebody said you just can't continue to call him a great president. They do say that. But we had it all done. He didn't sign. And then we got on to other things. And I every time I go to California, I said, you have so much water. They don't know it. I'm telling you, people living in Beverly Hills, they turn off the water.
So one last thing, they actually had funding for signed and paid, and part of this was offset by the federal government, signed and paid for 5 desalinization plants, and they haven't built them still. They've probably diverted the money, I'm guessing, to another DEI program or something to take care of the illegals, but or I'm sure that Gavin Newsom was fixing the homeless problem, but They had the opportunity to build 5 desalinization plants. It is all about power and control. That's why when the Orville Dam, if you remember that was the one where it was so full that the spillway broke and it was overflowing. And what did they do? They drew it down. They drew down Lake Don Pedro, which is another reservoir. They draw these things down and they flush that water out to the ocean instead of holding it.
Yeah. Because citizens last. I don't understand it. Now, I have a question for you. In North Carolina, terrible storm came through, devastated the communities. How long before Biden and or Harris were on the ground meeting the people and checking in on them and saying, I'm here for you?
Yeah, they still haven't gone.
Well, today, I won't play the sound, but I guess I will play the sound. I'll hide the sound. No one needs to hear him. But somehow this guy made it to California. Going on. And Gavin Newsom is saying, we appreciate the swift response. Unreal. So we're going to fly out to California. It's probably because that's where his voting base is.
All right. I got to tell you something, David. He was out here already. He was out here before the fire started because he and Newsom were going to go visit Thermal. And so because he was here, imagine that, they put in no-fly restrictions. So even the firefighters couldn't fly the aircraft because of these no-fly restrictions. Thanks, Joe.
I did hear about the no-fly restrictions, but I didn't hear the first part of that. Interesting.
He was already here before the fire started. And
so
here's the best. I know, gosh, what a coinky dink.
Yeah.
And while he was there and he was telling everybody, good job, he took the time to let us all know that he's a great grandfather. These people lost their homes. There's thousands of homes lost. And he's like, hey, everybody, I'm a great grandfather. Who cares? Sit down. Go get an ice cream.
I would like for us all to celebrate. Unreal. Talk about what, but then clearly they'll do the 25th Amendment on the 18th.
It's devastating. I believe, yeah, Marie had a good point about the 100 firefighters who were fired because they wouldn't take the jab.
Right.
I mean, this is the problem. California is a perfect example of the government run amok. You know, people not getting involved. So you had those. The governor didn't want to look bad in front of his constituents, so he told State Farm, all of the insurance companies, that they could not raise the rates on their the Southern California homeowners. So State Farm said, "Fine, we're not gonna offer this insurance," and they cut a lot of people's insurance. So can you imagine if you're paying insurance for 10, 15, 20 years, living in this beautiful place? All of a sudden, you lose insurance a few months just before this fire season, and today your house is gone. I mean, it's very for me, it's very frustrating to see my fellow American citizens, even though they're in California, lose everything. It's devastating. You know, I'm a humanitarian, and first and foremost, and to see them lose everything, and you know, they don't have any insurance. You had people that are being fired for just ridiculous stuff. We have a mayor that was cutting the budget while she's visiting her family in Ghana. Okay. Yeah. You know, it's just it's a perfect storm of incompetence or maybe planned self-destruction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, David, I have to let you know that a personal friend of ours has joined the show, and he's listening quietly. He's lurking, so say hi to Kevin.
Hey, Kevin. Lurking.
So, yeah, he's lurking. I want to put this one up, and this one's really tough to watch. I don't know if you guys have followed James Woods. He had a home in Palisades, and here's what he had to say.
I'm 77 years old, man. I can't walk up these hills. It's like Mount Everest there. It's like, you know, pretty steep. So, you know, it's just you. I posted this on X, but Sarah was on with her 8-year-old niece last night. And she came out. I'm sorry. Just, you know, one day you're swimming in the pool, and the next day it's all gone. But she came out with her little Yeti piggy bank for us to rebuild our house.
Heartbreaking.
We all hope that you will be able to rebuild your house, maybe starting with that little Yeti piggy bank. And we're just glad that you're okay and your wife is okay.
I'm sorry,
and have your
I'm
lives.
usually,
Yeah, no, I mean, this is real and it's raw. And you don't need, you are, you know what? Strength is not measured by whether, you know, you hold in crying or not. Strength is what you are doing now and helping your neighbors and shining a light on the great, amazing work of all those firefighters and emergency crews out there. You have so much strength, and we appreciate you coming on to reflect what so many others just like you are experiencing in that raw emotion right now. We wish you the best, you and your wife, as you rebuild your lives. So many people are doing that right now and trying to process what's going on. So, James, and also keep us posted on your 94-year-old neighbor and everything going there. We're going to continue to talk, and we wish you the very best.
He's okay. He's okay.
Yeah.
They found him. He's in the hospital.
He's okay. Yeah.
I just worry. If anybody knows where Robert Trinkteller is, you know, call me. Let me know. All right.
That's an important message. And also there's this app that's really important.
Just raw. I mean, think about that. There at the very least, there's 1,000 people just from the Palisades fire alone, 1,000 families just from the Palisades departments that are going through that exact same thing. They're just not public figures. And so we will never hear from them. Again, I talked to my sister-in-law, and, you know, they don't know yet, but I mean, it's a pretty safe bet, and they're devastated. The part that really is scary, because I lived in an area where we had to evacuate, and you put everything into the cars that you can, and you drive away and you say, I know I forgot. And then all the list of things come together, or the things that you just couldn't put in the cars.
Yeah. And you said this earlier, but you know, it's worth repeating. Some of the homes up there are spectacular. They are just spectacular homes. But there are homes that have been there because they were built years ago, and families have had them for years, and they're not the ultra wealthy, super rich. And if they're one of the families that lost their insurance because of what you talked about a couple minutes ago, they lost everything and there is no way to rebuild, and they're not in a position to just go tap into some cash that they've been saving. It's not their situation. So yeah, I've seen a lot of responses already, just couldn't happen to a better class of people, and on and on and on. Having been displaced from my house recently for something far less than this kind of a devastating fire, I can say it's incredibly disruptive, but to have everything that you love and care about except for the people, thank God the people in general, I think only 2 people have died, which is a miracle considering, but losing everything, pictures and memorabilia and, just the things that remind you of your family and your friends and your community, and you lose it all. It's incredible. But there's a lot of very callous people that have said some pretty nasty things about the community. I just, I do believe in karma. So what you put out in the universe.
I'm going to jump in here real quick. I think that, and I could be wrong, don't mean to speak for Marie, but Pat, I think that she's talking about forest management. There are times that we do some great forest management, and there are times that we don't. And up here in the Northwest, what we do prescribed burns, and we do a lot of them, and they do it. Yeah, that's what I thought. We do prescribed burns. The problem is there are many people that don't want those prescribed burns done because, oh gosh, there's smoke in the air. Well, glad there's a little smoke rather than the entire hillside gone. But there's a reason why they do prescribed burns. And the other thing is, if it is a naturally occurring fire, say a lightning strike, and it's not threatening homes, they let them burn because that's a naturally occurring fire. Then that's part of the forest management.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Right. And we talked about, President Trump talked about, picking up some of that lumber. Family member used to buy and sell lumber. And he told me a few years ago that without touching any trees, just picking up the trees from the ground could increase that industry of lumber something like 40%. So we could build home. I mean, this is really good wood. This is wood that can be taken to a mill, and you create, chunks of wood, and you can start building homes or what have you. There's a lot of money there. To me, California mismanaged a lot of their money with trying to create a bullet train that was never to be. They lost something like $1 billion, and they have nothing to show for, where they could have spent maybe 1% of that money and would have been able to take care of that, cleanup of brush and wood that's laying around Southern California. So that's the devastating part, is not only the loss of life, seeing the devastation from people who have lost things. I actually when I was a kid in Southern California, our apartment caught on fire. That's another story. It was a gang member it was arson, but it's tough to be in that situation. But now to be a little bit older and wiser, and to know that could, a lot of these things can be prevented, but our government fails to do so. We need to hold people accountable. And to me, that's what's exciting about the next 4 years, is that we're going to have, some folks that are going to hold our bureaucrats accountable. Look at this devastation you're showing, John.
Yeah,
it's sad.
It is. And last night in Pasadena, they showed 92 elderly patients being removed from a we call them old folks homes. I don't know what the real word, nursing care facility. And these poor people were scared to death, but they had to get them out of there. They're wheeling them out in these wheelchairs and beds in the middle of the night. They had the SWAT vehicles, I don't even know what they're called, the gators, picking these people up to get them out of there because the fire was rushing in so quickly. I mean, this whole thing is, you can't express enough just how widespread these fires are. This is massive and devastating.
Well, and I think the surreal part, I'll use that word a lot, I think, is these fires are still going on. They're not contained yet. I mean, I'm sure they've contained some of.
No, zero
of
containment. Zero containment at this point.
Oh.
Zero containment on all fires is what I just read the report. So.
Well, then I'm not sure of anything. All I'm saying is they're still going on, which is incredible. It's
Right. And I think John hit a really good point about some of these fires up here in the Pacific Northwest, where there is no danger to life, to human life or animals that we, domesticated. So they'll let those fires go on. These fires in LA, I mean, there's just homes all the way around, everywhere you see. I mean, this is a good shot of the newscaster talking about these fires. There's a multitude of homes and everything that you see there that's red.
It's
still
so
winds going in there too.
Yeah, and it was last night. I was listening to some of the fire control walkie-talkie conversation. I'm sure there's a more sophisticated way to talk about that. Anyways, just listening to the conversation and thinking as the fire is moving towards Pasadena, or even towards Santa Monica, just thinking how dense it is and how many homes and the people. And then of course, looking at some of the video where people are trying to get out in their cars, but they can't. So they get out and abandon their cars. And then those cars are moved by tractors. I mean, it's not something I ever expected that I would see in Los Angeles.
Yep. Right. And then, and again, thank you for having me on the show. I want to change the discussion just a tad, because I am a minority. I am a Hispanic American, and this one hits me right here from Southern California. If you're a fan of Adam Carolla, if you don't know who that is, he's a radio personality. He was in television throughout the last 20, 30 years. He grew up in Southern California. He applied to be an LA firefighter, and he was told to wait 7 years because he was not a Black, Hispanic, or female. Now, I have the video clip here. I don't know how to share it, but I'm going to talk about it because this is another part that's devastating. So in the video, he talks about how 7 years passed. He finally got his letter. He went to complete his paperwork to the city or county, wherever he was. There was a young Black lady behind him, about the same age as him at the time. And he turned around and he asked her, "Hey, how long do you have to wait?" Because he was curious, right? He's waited 7 years. She said, "Oh, I filled out my form last Tuesday." And this was a Monday. So less than 7 days, she received the letter, right? And here's Adam Carolla, and he goes, "That's my white privilege." And to me, as an American citizen, I'm just devastated and frustrated to hear these horrific policies that have taken like a cancer to our government agencies all over the country, not just federal, but it's state and local. We need to eliminate these policies. We need to put shame on people that bring these policies. Adam could have been, I think he's like 6'2". He would have been a great firefighter in my view. Anyways, but I thought I'd share that for the audience because we do, I feel like we have the tide is turning, right? We have President Trump coming in, and he's already mentioned the people that he's bringing on board who are very anti-DEI, as am I. To me, DEI means didn't earn it, right? You got to earn it. And my father-in-law is a retired fireman, and I'll tell you, when he was at his prime, this guy was about 5'11", 6 foot, could bench press 300 pounds easy. That's who I would want pulling me out of a fire, over somebody who probably doesn't know how to zip up their jacket, and we lower the standards. And yeah. So
have you ever worked with somebody who was not a white male, not a white middle-aged male? You ever work with somebody who said, "I don't know, did I get hired? Did you choose me because I'm pick a nationality other than white male?" I have been asked that question before. "Did you hire me because I'm Black?" Oh my God. No, you're the right person for the job. you are the right pick. It had nothing, but like that goes through people's mind when you have this whole narrative around, you got to make the candidate pool for this job a certain mixture of things that are not just white male. And all of a sudden people who do get chosen, now they're second guessing. Did you choose me for the right reasons? But I will say you have, and I agree with you, by the way, Elle, on this point, for jobs like firefighters, and you can pick a job, right? You have to find the most talented person for that role. Not the person who meets an inclusivity quota. And if you're concerned that you have too many people of pick a nationality or gender and you want to diversify it, fine. You know what the simplest way to do that is? Go to the communities where people that meet the diversity that you're trying to bring in live, and go recruit there. And guess what you're going to do? You're going to probably find the right, most talented person who's in that community who might also meet then the diversity you're looking for. But if you have a poor candidate pool and you choose somebody like for Supreme Court, for example, because of their gender and skin color versus their capabilities, you're doomed. You've doomed all of us. That's not fair. I agree with you.
Let me just bring it around for just a second here. By the way, this picture is going to be, I think this photo is definitely going to be one of the iconic photos of this weekend, this week. But, if we're going to recap, here are some of the things that I've heard. Perfect storm, right? The storm is upon us, I guess you could say. Yeah. We had a fire that broke out in a densely populated area, in an area that was, it's a beautiful area. It's surrounded by trees and brush and bushes, and it's hilly, so that there's some great terrain there. We've got winds that were extremely unusual for this area. Yes, they would have Santa Ana winds, whatever you want to call them, 20 to 35 miles an hour. They happen. Gusts of 70 to 100 doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. And so we had that. Then we have the mayor, who's down in Ghana for reasons unknown, who just got done cutting the firefighting budget by $23 million. We have a DEI fire chief. By the way, the police chief is from Boston. Not that that means anything, but I'm sure that they don't have the same kind of fires there. So the DEI fire chief, who also, if you look at the bio, her number one thing in the bio is to push forward. And someone can bring that up. That'd be awesome. It might be a bit to find it. But anyway, her number one thing in the bio was, I want to make sure that I promote diversity, equity, and inclusion, and all of these wonderful buzzwords. She never says that she wants to make sure that the fires are put out and have the best people in place to do it. Then we find out that the water has been diverted and that we don't have proper maintenance done on any of these fire hydrants. So these people are up there at 2 a.m, the wind's gusting. By the way, another thing that rarely happens in these Santa Ana events is that the wind increases overnight. Usually it dies down overnight, gives the firefighters a chance to get their hands around it. That didn't happen. The wind actually came up at 10 o'clock and was just roaring from 10 o'clock till 6 a.m. And that's when the highest winds happen. During the middle of that is when the fire hydrants went dry. All of these things, just a perfect storm. And that's just one of these many storms. The other one last night was the, what are they calling it? One of the other fires, the one over in Pasadena area, that one, Eaton fire, that was it, Eaton fire. That one kicked up, it was 50 acres. 50 acres is nothing to smile about, but it wasn't a gigantic fire. Shortly thereafter, boom, the thing blows up. Oh, here's her little thing: creating and promoting culture that values diversity, inclusion, and equity, while striving to meet and exceed the expectations of the communities are Chief Crowley's priorities, as she's grateful for the opportunity to serve as City of Los Angeles. The first thing on the list is make sure that we cover that DEI thing.
Yeah, we're grateful too. And I don't know if you saw that. I'm sure you did see this. LA County Fire Department donating surplus supplies to Ukraine's first responders back in 2022. I'm not saying that Ukraine's first responders didn't need fire equipment, but you don't have water, you don't have equipment. What do you have? Like, where are your priorities? I'm sure that I can't imagine any city in the country planning for this kind of apocalyptic event. How do you get prepared for that? I don't think you can, but.
So Pat says, is this their latest distraction? I don't think so.
I asked the same question, Pat.
A few years back when we had the fires that I will call it randomly popped up in Oregon and Canada at the same time, and they were massive fires that just popped up in the middle of all of the I think those were distractions. I think those were man-made. Some of these may be. The Palisades fire, I think, was perfect storm. I just think it happened. And it exposed a lot of really bad things, but I think the Palisades fire just happened. We may find out different later, but
yeah,
I'm seeing that they actually are. That was the other thing, is last night the winds were so high that they couldn't even fly the aircraft. The helicopters, it was just too dangerous for them to be flying the aircraft. So tonight it looks like they are. I can show you. Let's bring this one up. If you look on the right screen, you can see a helicopter going in there.
That's a UFO drone.
He's doing a water drop at night. That is so helpful when they can do those water drops at night. They couldn't do that last night because the wind was too high, and they had the no-fly zones.
So here's a tidbit while we watch some of this video. 293,000 people are now under mandatory evacuation. That's a 300% increase since this morning. And let's see, over 400,000 are without power, and the fire is still 0% contained.
It's just incredible. Yeah.
Well, let's go back to this.
And what's sad is that they have the means, meaning that they have the tax money. It's there. This is what happens when you have people that don't know how to manage a city, or are told not to manage it because they have other plans.
I'm going to divert for just a minute here, because there were some other things that happened, and I'm sure that our normal audience came in to hear some of those other things that happened. The one thing that I think that happened that was interesting and fun was, and of course I said it was fun, Dave said it was fun last week, was Justin Trudeau stepping down. He resigned, but he didn't really resign. But it's about time. And, Canada is not happy with him. He has zero support across the country. So he finally did what he had to do, which was to step away. So that happened on Monday. And then right after that happened, I'm just going to show this clip because doggone it, I love it. I'm sorry. Oh, gosh. There are a few things in life that make me this giddy. And this one, I'm telling you, this one is one of them. You ready for this? You're ready.
I'm buckled up.
The state of the vote for the President of the United States as delivered to the President of the Senate is as follows. The whole number of the electors appointed to vote for President of the United States is 538. Within that whole number, the majority is 270. The votes for President of the United States are as follows. Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 312 votes. Kamala D. Harris. Kamala D. Harris of the state of California has received 226 votes. The whole number of electors appointed to vote for Vice President of the United States is 538. Within that whole number, a majority is 270. The votes for Vice President of the United States are as follows. J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio has received 312 votes. Tim Walz of the state of Minnesota has received 226 votes. This announcement of the state of the vote by the President of the Senate shall be deemed a sufficient declaration of the persons elected President and Vice President of the United States, each for a term beginning on the 20th day of January 2025, and shall be entered together with the list of the votes on the journals of the House and the Senate. Thank you very much.
First time. That's a first. She can say she was the first, right? Yeah. The first woman of color vice candidate that had to certify the other person as the victor. Hey, she did it with a straight face, and she didn't stumble reading her words. So
I don't know if you saw it, but when she was reading it and she read Trump's numbers and they stood up, she got red in the face. You could tell it was like, whoa. Look, I mean, if I'm being honest, that had to be hard. And McGillis said it too. That must have been so hard for her. I mean, if all joking aside, I'm sure it was hard for her, and she pulled it off without being snarky. Even the interviews afterwards, she wasn't snarky. So as much as it pains me, I don't know. I handed it to her.
I don't
She did
care.
it.
Let her burn in it. Let it keep her up at night. Let her have to go cry to her therapist. She stood up on stage and made some absolutely evil statements, gaslit this country, pretended Biden was sane. Yeah, she doesn't understand the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the America.
That woman deserves, that's her karma. That's what she gets publicly on stage in front of the world. Yeah, I don't feel sorry for her. Not at all.
Here's the sad part is 226 people were that's the machine. We had to overcome that.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
She was not primary. She didn't win any primaries. As a matter of fact, when she ran for president, what did she get? Less than 1% of the vote. So yeah, we have a major problem.
Zero.
Yeah.
Did she ever get one primary vote ever? No. The answer is no, never. So that's the problem.
anyway,
when you're the cabal and you're trying to shove somebody through, it obviously didn't work. Go ahead, John.
As you know, my thoughts were I thought that they were going to pull something. I'm still not comfortable because it's too quiet, and they have made too many, screams and stinks along the way to believe that they're just going to allow this inaugural to go through without something coming up. So I would just say continue to be, heads up, head on a swivel, stay prepared, and all of those good things. You never know what's going to come up. But I also want to talk about, Donald Trump is the master at trolling, and he's been doing some class A1 trolling this last couple weeks, starting off with, and this was actually about a month ago, he talked about the mayor of Canada and Canada becoming the 51st state. Sorry, you're right. The governor of Canada, and Canada being the 51st state. And then, he sends a delegation to Greenland because he wants to annex Greenland. Boy, that would be great. There's so many great things there. And so he's talking about annexing Greenland. And then he talks about, well, you know what? You can be the 52nd state if you'd like. When he's talking about Mexico, and he's talking to the Mexican president about that. And then, of course, he says, and by the way, I'm okay with this when he talks about the Gulf of America for a couple reasons. One, there's more landmass around there than Mexican landmass. There's more American landmass, but we're all North America, including Mexico. So Gulf of America sounds pretty good. But of course, that gets everybody all upset. And then I see these people today on X, and they're just going off. They're like, oh, so what does this do to bring prices down? And I'm thinking to myself, hey, self, I thought they said that the best economy ever was being turned over to Donald Trump. Yeah, Gulf of America. So, this is what he does. Yes, exactly, Pat. He's having fun. He's messing with them, and he's make them come out and say, Oh, what's this doing to the prices? Well, the prices were good. You just told us last week. Now you're having to admit that the prices are trash and nobody can afford anything. I love it. I just love it. And he, look, at the end of the day, he doesn't want Canada to be the 51st state. He doesn't want to annex Greenland, and he certainly doesn't want to annex Mexico. Who wants their problems?
But you nailed it, John. We have the press, even though they have all the evidence, they have all the data to tell them, you have unemployment's creeping up. You have the highest amount of consumer debt ever in the history. We have defaults that are rising, unrealized losses at our banks. We have no backstop from our banks now, probably as of about this week, because the funding for that ran out. You have, we're $2 trillion overspent in 2024. The interest rate alone on our debt is over $1 trillion now. Unemployment, you can talk about unemployment all day long, but it's not hard to find that all the job growth was government jobs and part-time jobs. We lost almost 2 million, I think it's like 1.8 million full-time professional jobs, high-paying professional jobs. You could go on and on and on about this. Manufacturing's down, the whole bit. This has been gradually getting worse and worse over the last 3 years at least. And now that Trump's coming in, the very first thing, there's two things. One, his tariffs are going to put and inflation, and look what he's going to do. He's going to destroy the country. The second thing they said is, and he probably will borrow a lot of money because Trump is a spender too. What's he going to do? He's going to try to get these big bills through, and that's going to add to our debt, which we can't afford. And all of a sudden they recognize that there's a financial cliff that we're standing on now that Trump is here. And here's the thing I think is going to happen. We're going to have a correction. It has to correct. We're just teetering on the edge. And when it does, you know what history is going to say? Another Republican, tanked the stock market and tanked the job market. It's the Republicans' fault. Forget about the fact that this was built up over time. No, we're going to blame Trump for it. That's what I think is going to happen.
Remember Janet Yellen saying it's transitory?
Yes. Do you remember Janet Yellen saying everything's fine? And you know what she said this week alone? She says, I'm very concerned. Yeah, no kidding, because you traded out 0% long-term debt for 4 and 5% short-term debt, sticking America with these massive credit card bills that we can't pay. And what did you do? You're going to go off into the sunset with your checks. And I'm going to speculate, just my take, that her visit to Ukraine with her checkbook was not just a visit to go give Zelensky some more cash. I'm just saying something else is going on. Yeah,
I have to make a funny about your video. Sorry, David, about him renaming the Gulf of America. Governor of Texas responded with his own photo that said, "Governor Gulf of Texas sounds better. Of Texas sounds better." So he got on the boat on that one, which I thought it was kind of fun. But yeah, I agree with you. He likes to poke the bear, and this is how he's able to bring not just the average person, but all the way up to these so-called elites of what they have done and what he has to do to correct the ship. Right?
So far ahead of them.
The last 4 years, I mean, that's the most money we've ever printed in the history of America.
Ever.
Yep.
Ever.
Yep.
So it wasn't his 4 years, and it wasn't, he's just coming in now, January 20th. He's not even president yet. And so, yeah, it's, thank you for making that point. It's really good to
11 days. 11 days.
Hear. Yeah. 11 days.
I'm gonna post this one again because it's fun. That's what we're supposed to have, is a little fun.
Oh, good golly! I mean, situational awareness.
That's why you mad.
Oh my God! You got a king.
Watch again.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
On the face of the city, bitch. That's why you mad.
That husband was not having any of it.
No, he's got a cane. He's got a cane in his other hand.
No, he wouldn't have shook her hand anyway, David.
Oh, probably
has
not.
nothing to do with the cane. He could have rested the cane on anything.
Maybe he had the cane because he didn't want to shake her hand. Okay, you're probably
Did you
right.
see him look at her hand?
Yeah,
Wait,
he's
I'm
like,
not
you just
shaking your hand.
play it again. Play it
All
again.
the crap you've said about my wife? Heck no.
Disgusting. Hey, 11 more days. I did not have Southern California on fire on my bingo card. I don't know what's going to happen over the next 10 days. I hope it's nothing as serious as that.
I got another one for you here. Sorry. So I don't know if you guys, we keep talking about, it's funny, poor play on words, but we kept talking about how Biden is trying to burn it down on the way out. Again, it was a poor play on words, but
Yep.
oh shoot, it's not coming up. Oh, well, maybe it is. Let's see. But as it turns out, there's a lot of interesting things coming up. Sorry, I've got to start this one over because it's on Instagram, which we all know Instagram does terrible for us when we try to.
I don't know. Did you hear about Zuckerberg reassessing his life?
Yes. I don't want to go to jail. And I also, so I'm going to bend the knee and make some changes in my life. I've come to the mountain and I'm no longer going to censor, and I'm going to get rid of my fact-finding agency, and I'm going to let the community decide if something's not true.
1,000 individuals convicted of their involvement on January 6th. Oh, wait, I think I have a clip for this.
He is the president of the United States, and it is his right, and he doesn't have to explain to anybody. This is his right as president. He can pardon, if he wants to pardon Bozo the Clown, he can pardon Bozo the Clown.
Yes, whoop. Did you think that one would hit as hard as it did when you said it?
According to Bloomberg, Donald Trump is expected to pardon over 1,000 individuals convicted of their involvement on January 6th. Oh, wait, I think I have a clip for this.
He is the president of the United States, and it is his right, and he doesn't have to explain to anybody. This is his right as president. He can pardon, if he wants to pardon Bozo the Clown, he can pardon Bozo the Clown.
Yes, whoop. Did you think that one would hit as hard as it did when you said it?
She said, hey, whoop. Did you think that would hit as hard? That was great.
Hey, whoop.
I have been listening. I have been listening to a little commentary on it, and of course, it's just the worst interviews I've ever heard. But you have to go to MSNBC sometimes just to hear, like, what are these guys? How are they reacting to this? And instead of talking about what's happening in Los Angeles or some of the other things, they're talking about, will he pardon the January 6ers, and will he look at the, the dockets first, because some of them were really violent and cops died, and this is terrible. And I'm thinking, wow, this is the top news story for you. And remember a few weeks ago when you were supporting hunters being pardoned, and now you're speculating that maybe others need to be pardoned to protect themselves against this tyrant. And now here you are. Yeah, go ahead.
And who was just pardoned? Not pardoned. He just released the remaining terrorists that were at Gitmo.
Yes.
What? For what reason?
We got people who weren't even in the Capitol, they were near the Capitol the day, that are sitting in jail. But you have people that are, I'm going to say alleged, because I don't know if we proved it was them. They are sitting in Gitmo because they have a terror attack against our country, and they get to walk free. Hella, where are your priorities?
The only thing I can think of is that he's making room for all of the Diddy and Epstein list members.
Good.
That's what I think. And by the way, and then we can have Trump come back out again. I don't have the clip handy because Scott's on vacation. But when Trump came out and said, al-Baghdadi is dead. He died like a dog.
Hey, I got some breaking news. It looks like President Biden is going to give LA $500 million. Oh,
no.
Sorry, that's for Ukraine.
Oh, yeah. For Ukraine?
That's for Ukraine. Yeah. Today he announced another $500 million to Ukraine.
Is that real?
It's real.
It's
yes.
100% true. Yeah,
yes.
No, it's true.
My
100%
God.
true.
$500 million. Yeah.
I don't have $1 for North Carolina, but I got $500 million for Ukraine.
Yeah, of course.
Somebody take the keys away. Tell them You've 40% of your time's been on vacation. Why not just 11 more days? Just get out
Well,
of here.
You know, we just did the story on him pardoning 1,000 J6ers. Well, according to news reports, Biden is about ready to charge another 250 J6ers. For what?
Banning oil drilling, charging people with a crime that didn't happen 4 years ago. Just sit down and no more. I mean, it's amazing to me. Can't anyone stop him from spending any more money? I thought Congress had to approve spending. No more. Like
Just go be a great grandpa. Go be a great grandpa. Have a nice dream. Call it good.
In the memory unit of your assisted living facility. Let's be real. He's not. This is why I don't feel sorry for anyone who supported that guy for the last several years. They've known he's not been in his right mind. Anyways, I did watch a clip of, I don't know if I shared this with you.
His senility is definitely showing. Sorry, somebody posted a fun comment.
His senility's been showing since before he was elected. But anyways, a little clip of someone having to go clean out his office. They're going through things. Normally, you just find extra pads of paper and some pens and maybe some notes. But here we've got, a pair of boxers with a big, I'm sure it's chocolate stain on it. And normally we
oh my gosh, where'd this show go?
Oh,
I'm gonna play episode 1. I'm gonna play episode 1 right now.
I think that's unnecessary.
I bet you do.
Yeah, unnecessary.
I'm saving it for episode 100, which is coming soon.
It's unnecessary. Hey, so I know we're getting close to our time. What's the current view look like? Oh, there it is.
So I mean they're focusing on Hollywood Hills right now because that's the latest to blow up. But Palisades isn't out, and Palisades continues to grow. I don't know. If you don't know the area, it's for those of us that worked in the area. I used to have that territory, the Santa Monica area. Plus, I would go visit my brother at his offices, and we'd have lunch in Santa Monica at least once a month.
Sorry, John, I was going to stop you for a split second there. Look at this guy with his mask on. Okay, sorry. Please continue.
There's a little bit of smoke in there.
It's a particulate mask. We'll give it to him. But one of the things that just absolutely stunned me is that this is residential, very residential area that they have evacuated in Santa Monica.
Right,
David, the areas from Montana Avenue over to San Vicente, and San Vicente butts up against Riviera Country Club. So this is residential areas, and it's all evacuated right now. One of the things that stunned me was yesterday when they were given the evacuation orders, they did a press conference with Gavin Newsom and a bunch of others. The fire chief said, it's time to evacuate now. This is under a mandatory evacuation area. You need to evacuate, but when you do, leave your cars or leave your house unlocked. Basically, let me translate. Anyone who wants to loot a multi-million-dollar home, come on in. It'll be open, and the police won't be here.
Yep, come on in. And there were some videos of people looting homes, but they were looting homes in areas where there was active fires. Which, by the way, you deserve what you get if you do that.
Yep,
you just whatever happens next is on you.
You're right, Roger. He belongs on the beach with 100 pounds French fries, entertaining the seagulls.
Yeah, agree.
100%.
Yeah, and at the same time, for those of us who are not big soccer fans, I'm not, but the number one player of the world, Messi, didn't attend the Medal of Freedom ceremony. He was supposed to get a Medal of Freedom, and he's like, I'm not going to be part of that political nonsense. I think him and Malay have a good understanding, and he was not going to go. So I know we didn't cover that. I thought that was kind of a disgusting, another great ceremony and award has been ruined by these clowns in power this, this election
we did
cycle.
Cover that on Sunday, and you're right. That was a bunch of patting ourselves on the back. But what's really interesting is if you go back and you look at and I encourage the audience to do this. Go back and take a look at all of the people that Barack Obama gave the Presidential Medal of Freedom to, and then balance that against the Diddy list.
Yeah, exactly.
Not kidding. It is 1 for 1. So you got it.
What I didn't know about Messi was, he's Chet, I'm not going. So that part we got, check. He didn't send anybody in his place. Check. Is it that he's saying, like, I'm not looking, I don't want you to honor me with anything because it's not an honor coming from you? Or did he just like ignore it and walk away? Like, is it an overt thing, or was it just his actions? Now we're speculating on his actions.
I don't know, but his president is very based out of Argentina, so I would think that maybe Messi is. I mean, he's made he's a very wealthy guy. He can speak his own mind, right? As the number one guy in the world, he could probably say, like LeBron. In my view, he's bought by China, and it's sad to see. I think Messi has his own mind. He's shown a lot of humility throughout his entire career. Now, I don't know if people know about this kid or a guy. I call him a kid because I'm older than him, but he was mocked when he first started playing soccer. He's not your average 6'2" fantastic runner, right? He's this little guy, maybe 5'7" at best, and he became the best in the world. So I think he has probably didn't care to be associated with any political nonsense that's going on in America, especially because he's making a lot of money here, which I think it's fine. I see movie stars and athletes who keep their political things to themselves, which I think it's great. You're an athlete, you're an entertainer, do your thing,
And my opinion, just my take, they should, because as soon as you start to speak out, and if you're not informed, let me say it this way: if you're ill-informed and you're just repeating headlines and all you know is the latest thing you heard from Joy Reid, you should keep your mouth shut if you're not going to take the time to understand things. I hope what you said about Messi is true. By the way, it gives me hope. I'm not 6'2" either. Maybe I can still play some soccer.
I'm going to toss this in here. Marie said that Trump can take them back. Speaking of the Presidential Freedom Awards, it is true. And I heard several reports about that, including some legal scholars who've talked about it. Here's what I would say. And let's just say he does that. I think that he's going to look petty if he does that. If it's more like a Donald Trump thing, because look what he did with the Nobel Prize, right? The Nobel Prize, he called them out and said, look, you've given the Nobel Prize to some people that are absolutely 100% undeserving. He also said the same thing about the Pulitzer Prize. And basically what he did is he took those two prizes down to nothing. They're worth nothing anymore. So in this case, I would bet that Trump calls it out, shows the people, shows what these people have actually done, and completely devalues the last 8 years of these things be given away, and creates a new honor. And maybe that honor is to be in the statuary, what do they call it? What's he do? The Freedom Park, where he's got all of the statues of some really high honored people. I don't remember what he's calling it, Freedom Park or something like that. Maybe that's what he's going to do. But I just don't see him taking them back as much as I would love to see that happen.
Yeah, John, I'm with you on that. Don't take it back, but just, forevermore, we're retiring this one. Instead, It's tainted. It's no longer has the same value. Keep it because you got it. Maybe you could sell it on eBay, but for everything else going forward, it's going to look like this.
Well, look, we're at that hour and a half time frame, just about 90 minutes. Any last minute ads on either the fires in California or J6? What do you got? Anybody?
Go ahead, El. You go first.
I'm gonna end it with some bad news that I read today. The preemptive pardons that they're talking about Biden. Number one, there's case law. It has happened before, and he can actually do that as a president, which devastated me. So don't be surprised. You're talking about be prepared for something before Trump takes office. Be prepared for scumbags of this administration and some of these knuckleheads to get a preemptive pardon from Biden before he leaves. And I hate to leave in a sad note, but yeah, I was doing some research today and I read through some case law. And yes, we do have precedent. Several presidents have done that. Probably some of the bigger ones are Jimmy Carter with the draft dodgers and Richard Nixon getting off after Watergate. So there were some preemptive stuff. Yeah, somebody posted Fauci. Yeah, Fauci could get a preemptive pardon, and it's just the 20th can't come any quicker.
Yep.
That's what I heard you say. All right, here's 20th can't come any quicker, and I just want to say I hope that this is what Doge looks like. I hope it's something like this. I have the sound quiet, but Ministry of Culture out. Ministry of the Environmental and System out.
Yes.
Oh, come on, Doge. Come on, Doge. I'm counting on you. Here's the Argentina president. You just you reduce the size of government, rip out the fat, ruthlessly prioritize what we can afford, build things up, and then we can afford nice things afterwards. And I hope it's just like that. Anyways, that's my parting words. 11 days.
I like it. I'm going to just toss this one out there, El, because we've discussed this before. General Flynn famously said a couple weeks ago, after the first round of pardons came out, General Flynn came out and said, what happens to all those pardons if it is ruled that Joe Biden was not the duly elected, legally appointed president of the United States? And there is still a case before the Supreme Court that has not been turned away or handed down. They have not come up with a ruling of this. And that is the Brunson case, which would, what they're calling for in remedy would be to remove Joe Biden, bring Donald Trump in, and ultimately, like Donald Trump said 1 billion times, give back the diamonds.
Give back.
Now, I've said often, I don't think that they want to do that before the 20th because that would be a constitutional nightmare. I think they'll wait till after. And again, this is just John's. I've been wrong a couple times. Okay. I'm readily admitting that when I've been wrong. But what if they do that? Then all of these things that he's done, including the DEI hire Ketanji Jackson, or however you say her name, in the Supreme Court, the one that doesn't even know
what a woman is.
She doesn't know what a West's Law book is.
Not a prerequisite for being Supreme Court justice, just for the record. Go on.
You do need to know what West's Law is if you're going to be a Supreme Court justice, but she doesn't.
Helpful.
Anyway, so there's a lot of things that would happen, and that's my bringing your bad news back to a good news place. How's that?
John, every time you bring something up like that, I'm like, I hope he's right. I hope you're right.
I do. Well, I don't know. Look, I do believe that, what El said, he's going to do a preemptive. That's just, it's a done
transfer. It's a peaceful transfer of power. That's how we do it.
But I have watched too many of Trump's speeches over the years to believe that he's just going to let them get away with it. And I don't think he's going to. So I'm going to go with that one. Again, I'm not going to double or nothing. By the way, I didn't get to give you your bottle of whiskey, and I feel really bad about that.
I got to make another trip out. Or are you going to make a video?
I made a bet with David. I lost that bet, and I need to pay him up by giving him but I did give you several samples of different whiskey samples, tiny drops. And now at least you know which one you want for the award. So
I do actually. It's very clear to me which one's the right one. So that's a very good point.
Okay, looking forward, we are not going to be covering the Jimmy Carter funeral. That's just, I think you're going to find enough outlets for that. That's not something that I want to press forward on. So that's my personal thing. I won't be any part of that. Don't want to elaborate on it either. We will be having a show on Sunday, and many people have asked, and we're absolutely going to be doing the inaugural live. We're going to carry that live. We're going to have some commentary in between. El, if you're available, we'd love to have you on board for that one too. We're also going to bring in some folks from outside So I'm hoping to get Big Mike from, not that Big Mike from California on the show. Phone. Yeah, I had to. Maybe we can get Pat to ring in as well. She's very politically on board. And then, of course, it wouldn't be a real show if we didn't have the opportunity to bring producer Marie in for her thoughts. So I'm sure there'll be more, but we're definitely going to be doing an extravaganza on that day. I know that Mrs. John has the day off, so she can help support, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So looking forward to that. Folks of California, in yours a good place. Have been, I know that it was mentioned earlier that there's been actually several Jewish temples that have been destroyed, completely leveled, gone, just disintegrated in this, and as well as some other couple Catholic churches, some other Protestant churches, and then of course there's been some mosques that have been leveled. So keep those folks in your prayers, and we'll just see you guys on Sunday. Thank you guys, everybody. Appreciate you.
Have a great night.
What will we do with this moment? How will we be remembered? Look at the opportunities before us.
This election really isn't about the left versus the right. It's about we, the people, choosing our government and the choice between freedom versus tyranny.
Nobody has a chronic disease burden like we have. Why are we allowing this to happen to our children? Ultimately, the only thing that will save our country is if we choose to love our kids more than we hate each other.
What is going on here is deeper than politics. It is deeply spiritual. We are being called to rise above the hatred and the fear and the evil.
We need to remember above and beyond that we must love our neighbors, that we must treat other people as we hope to be treated.
You want to be a rebel? You want to be a hippie? You want to stick it to the man? Show up on your college campus and try calling yourself a conservative.
America is going to reach heights that it has never seen before. The future is going to be amazing!
Don't you want healthy children? Don't you want a president that's going to make America healthy again?
I come to you today as a former Democrat. I will be a first-time Trump voter tonight.
The people dreamed this country, and it's the people who are making America great again.
Making that new.